The music drops.
Mm-hmm.
The choreography completely stops. The crowd just freezes. And just like that, Hollywood has a new obsession.
Oh, absolutely.
Welcome to StarScope Report. Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and, viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And hey, if you are loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you are subscribed. We've got some crazy stories ahead today.
We really do. So picture this scene. It is August 6th, 2026.
Right.
Chicago's United Center is deafening, like just insanely loud. Pop titan Ariana Grande is standing center stage, and she's wrapping up the North American leg of this massive global tour.
Yeah, the Eternal Sunshine Tour.
Exactly. But then everything just halts. She breaks down in tears in front of tens of thousands of fans, and she asks the crowd, how has this gone by so quickly?
Which is such a powerful moment.
It really was. And moments later, she confirms a major career shift that it had the entire entertainment industry buzzing. So today, we're doing a deep dive into the story behind that announcement.
Yeah, we are going to find out exactly why Ariana Grande is stepping away from the spotlight.
And we have a pretty dense stack of sources for this one, right?
We do, yeah. We are pulling from entertainment industry reports from Us Weekly, Variety, Billboard, plus a really detailed encyclopedia breakdown of the tour itself.
Right.
But to anchor all of this, like in psychological reality, we're also dissecting clinical excerpts from Tamsin Embleton's book. It's called Touring and Mental Health, the Music Industry Manual.
Which is a fascinating read, by the way, because our mission today isn't just to regurgitate tabloid headlines.
No, definitely not.
We want to unpack the hidden, grueling psychological toll of the music industry machine. Like, we want you to understand the systemic forces that make this kind of pause an absolute necessity for survival.
Exactly. So to start, following the conclusion of her 41-show Eternal Sunshine Tour.
Which is a massive run.
Oh, huge. And it officially wraps up on September 1st with a 10-night residency at London's O2 Arena.
Right.
So after that, she is taking what her reps call a much-deserved break from public-facing work.
A break from public-facing work. That is a very specific way to phrase it.
It really is. And during that Chicago show, she actually made a point to clarify that this wasn't just some impulsive reaction to a bad week on the internet.
Right, like a knee-jerk thing?
Yeah, exactly. He said it was a long-planned decision made from a thoughtful and empowered place.
But that empowerment comes with real, tangible sacrifices. Professional sacrifices.
Oh, definitely.
Like, she formally withdrew from the highly anticipated 2027 London stage revival of Stephen Sondheim's Sunday in the Park with George.
Wow.
Yeah. She was slated to star alongside her Wicked co-star Jonathan Bailey. And, walking away from a dream theatrical role like that,
is huge.
it signals that this break is foundational. It's not just a quick vacation in the Bahamas,
Right. It's a real boundary.
Yeah.
And her rep's official statement actually cited endless ongoing public scrutiny as a primary driver.
Endless scrutiny.
Yeah. And the sources track this specific wave of scrutiny back to our breakup with Ethan Slater. After that, the internet just became hyper-fixated on her physical appearance.
Oh, it was awful. The discourse completely devolved.
It really did. It became this relentless, granular dissection of her body. Like, there were viral threads focusing entirely on her sternum or, the visibility of her ribcage.
Which is just so invasive.
Yeah. But her camp has been pushing back against this for a while. She actually tried to address it head-on back in 2023.
Oh, the TikTok video.
Exactly. She posted this very direct, stripped-down TikTok, looking straight into the camera, just asking the public to be gentler.
Right. Asking people to be less comfortable commenting on bodies, even if they meant well.
Exactly. But when that earnest plea didn't stop the noise, she channeled all that frustration into her art.
Which brings us to the new album.
Yes. Her new album, Pedal, which just dropped last week, it serves as a direct commentary on this whole phenomenon.
The title track's music video is like 7 minutes long.
Yeah, and it utilizes heavy satire to mock unrealistic beauty standards. It visually represents their harsh, almost clinical evaluation that public figures endure.
It's like she's turning the camera back on the culture that spends all day critiquing her.
Exactly.
But, I want to examine the underlying premise of this scrutiny for a second.
Okay.
Because there is this common cultural argument out there, right? That being judged is simply the inevitable tax you pay for being a global superstar.
Right, the whole you signed up for this argument.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think the old living in a glass house metaphor quite captures the modern reality of this level of fame.
How do you mean?
Well, it feels much more like being a piece of open source software,
Hmm.
where millions of users feel entirely entitled to submit daily aggressive bug reports on your physical body.
Oh, wow. That is a perfect analogy because it illustrates the sheer scale of the problem.
Right. It's not just a few people.
No, we aren't talking about a few isolated music reviews in the paper. We are talking about a microscopic, relentless surveillance apparatus.
A surveillance apparatus. Yeah, that's exactly what social media is.
And biologically speaking, the human brain is evolutionarily wired to care about the opinions of a small tribe, like maybe 150 people.
Right, not millions.
Exactly. It is fundamentally not equipped to process the sheer volume of millions of strangers evaluating its physical form simultaneously.
It must just fry your nervous system.
It does. The threat detection system in the brain interprets that level of mass observation as a constant state of danger. It keeps the nervous system locked in this defensive posture.
Which is exhausting. And that naturally brings us to the other massive weight pressing down on her, right?
Machine.
The structural exhaustion of the corporate music machine. Because to truly understand why pulling the plug is a matter of physical survival, you have to look at the magnitude of the infrastructure she's running.
It's unbelievable. And that's not even the wildest part. Later in this deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming with the actual psychology of the crew.
Yes, the crew suffers too. But first, think about the last time you were stuck in a digital waiting room trying to buy concert tickets.
Oh, a nightmare.
Absolute chaos. And the ticketing war for the Eternal Sunshine Tour was next level.
The demand metrics were just staggering. When pre-sales opened for the North American leg, Variety reported that 6 million users vied for tickets simultaneously.
6 million.
Yeah. Just the queues for New York City and Austin drew hundreds of thousands of individual accounts. And then when the London pre-sales opened, 2 million potential buyers logged on.
And the servers couldn't handle it right.
No, the server load was so catastrophic that both Ticketmaster and SeatGeek experienced total system crashes.
And of course, the secondary market immediately capitalized on that bottleneck.
Naturally.
Like on resale sites, StubHub, Vivid Seats, Viagogo scalpers were listing tickets for the LA shows for over $7,000.
That is insane.
$7,000 to see a 2-hour concert?
But we saw an interesting dynamic unfold here regarding an artist agency over their own product, because she actually publicly condemned the resellers.
She did. She was very vocal about it.
Yeah, she stated she was incredibly bothered by the exploitation of her audience.
Mm-hmm.
But more significantly, she deliberately opted out of dynamic pricing.
Oh, wow. Okay, explain dynamic pricing for those who might not know.
So dynamic pricing is basically an algorithm that monitors IP traffic and panic buying velocity in real time.
Okay.
And it artificially inflates ticket prices at the exact moment demand peaks. So by opting out, she was actively trying to defang that algorithm to prioritize affordability for the fan.
Which is great, but the infrastructure is so inherently flawed that a single artist opting out doesn't really fix the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's a drop in the ocean.
Right. And the situation with this specific tour's ticketing was so fraught that it culminated in the U.S. Federal Trade Commission actually stepping in.
Wait, really? The FTC?
Yeah. The FTC sued Live Nation and Ticketmaster, accusing them of bait-and-switch price advertising and utilizing junk fees.
Oh, those hidden service charges.
Exactly. The ones that only appear at the final checkout screen, making it impossible for you to comparison shop.
And that lawsuit also highlighted how the platform essentially enables corporate brokers to harvest tickets using bots, right?
Yes, only to sell them back to the public at those massively marked up prices. So before the artist even steps foot on a stage, they are navigating this massive corporate, legal, and algorithmic ecosystem just to get their fans in the door.
And stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because what happens once they are in the door is just as intense.
Oh, absolutely. The physical execution of the show is monumental. The Eternal Sunshine Tour is a 2-hour, 5-act spectacle.
5 acts.
Yeah, and the physical toll involves heavy choreography, constant rapid-fire wardrobe changes, which, by the way, were styled by Law Roach.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, featuring custom Givenchy and Vivienne Westwood pieces. But the set design itself is a massive logistical undertaking.
It looks like a movie set.
It is. It features a recreation of the Brighter Days Clinic from her short film. And during the performance of the song Supernatural, she is strapped into a harness and physically lifted into the air, toward this massive UFO-like structure hovering over the stage.
The overhead to run a highly athletic Broadway-level production that travels from city to city is just astronomical.
It has to be.
You have hundreds of crew members, massive insurance policies, ironclad venue contracts, and that production scale creates a financial inertia that becomes almost impossible to stop.
Right, because if a tour of that magnitude halts, the financial fallout ripples across thousands of livelihoods.
Exactly.
So when the financial stakes are that colossal and millions of fans are fighting tooth and nail in a digital bloodbath just to see you, the pressure to never pull the emergency brake must be paralyzing.
And that is exactly where Tamsin Embleton's clinical research in touring and mental health comes in. It provides the data on what happens when that brake isn't pulled.
And it gets dark, doesn't it?
It does. The short answer is that failing to stop can be deadly. Embleton's data shows that among touring professionals, and this includes both the artist and the crew, 50% are at high risk for clinical depression,
Half of them.
and 40% are at high risk for suicidality.
That is a staggering statistic.
It is. Furthermore, working musicians report experiencing severe anxiety at 4 times the national average.
4 times. And, Embleton's book uses these fictionalized clinical case studies to break down the mechanics of how the touring environment systematically dismantles mental health.
Right, to make it relatable.
Yeah, and the first case study focuses on a former child star pop singer named Ava.
Which draws a very clear parallel to Ariana's own roots on Nickelodeon, right?
Exactly, being pushed hard by management and family from a very young age.
And Ava's case illustrates how the touring environment entirely strips away self-agency.
How so?
Well, on the road, management handles every single daily chore. They hold the passports, they book the flights, they arrange the catering, they dictate the minute-by-minute schedule.
So you basically don't have to think.
Right. The stated goal is to let the artist focus entirely on performing. But the psychological mechanism at play is a total loss of autonomy.
You become a product.
Yeah. And to regain any sense of control in this chaotic, hyper-managed environment, Ava turns to food restriction.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The eating disorder becomes a coping mechanism. It's like the one thing her management cannot physically force her to do is eat.
And the darkest aspect of Ava's case study is the industry's response to the pathology. Because her extreme food restriction goes completely overlooked by her team.
They don't even notice.
Worse, she is actively praised by the industry for maintaining a remarkably slim physique.
Oh, that is so toxic.
Right. The very environment that stripped her of her agency reinforces the destructive coping mechanism she developed to survive it.
And we see a completely different physiological breakdown in the case of Amir, who is a headline DJ in the book.
Okay, what happens with him?
Amir's story perfectly maps out the neurochemical whiplash of live performance. So when Amir's on stage at midnight, you have the roaring crowd, the heavy bass, the intense lighting.
Well, total sensory overload.
Exactly. It triggers a massive flood of dopamine, adrenaline, and cortisol. His central nervous system enters a state of extreme hyperarousal. But then, an hour later, the show ends, and he returns to a sterile, dead silent hotel room.
And the brain just cannot metabolize that massive chemical drop smoothly.
Precisely. The nervous system crashes into severe hyperarousal,
Right.
adding chronic jet lag, totally disrupted circadian rhythms, constant travel, and his nervous system's baseline for dopamine is essentially malfunctioning.
He swings from feeling like a literal deity on stage to feeling this profound, crushing emptiness alone in the dark.
Yeah. And to cope with these violent spikes and crashes, Amir relies heavily on alcohol.
Because it's a depressant, right?
Exactly. It artificially numbs the anxiety before a show and then forces his brain to wind down afterward.
And once again, the surrounding environment actively enables the spiral. Alcohol is universally accessible on tour. It's in the dressing rooms, on the buses, in the VIP sections of the clubs.
And as long as Amir is high-functioning enough to hit his marks on stage, nobody intervenes.
Nobody cares. His entourage actually encourages the constant partying because, from their perspective, Amir's grueling workplace is just their glamorous night out.
Wow. That is such a harsh reality. And Embleton also makes sure to highlight the devastating impact on the broader ecosystem by introducing Grace.
Grace is the tour manager, right?
Yes, a young tour manager.
Yeah.
And she suffers from severe burnout and caretaking exhaustion. She sleeps in a state of hypervigilance, constantly anticipating logistical nightmares.
Just always on edge.
Always. Prioritizing the artist's needs above her own basic functions, like sleep or nutrition. She basically utilizes overfunctioning as a trauma response.
So Grace's story really proves that the toxicity of the road bleeds into every single person on the payroll.
Of everyone.
The entire touring lifestyle just sounds like being trapped inside a hyper-stimulated snow globe.
Snow globe. I like that.
Yeah, like everyone on the outside is violently shaking it just to watch the glitter fall, completely oblivious to the fact that the people inside are suffocating from a lack of oxygen.
That is a haunting image, but it's accurate.
Well,
And the clinical data is reflecting a much broader industry-wide trend of artists finally recognizing this suffocation and pressing pause.
who else has done this recently?
Well, the sources highlight Sam Fender, who had to completely cancel a string of shows in 2024. He suffered a severe vocal cord hemorrhage, which directly followed a previous hiatus he had to take for severe psychological burnout.
Right. We also see artists like the Irish singer CM heading the wall. After a deeply acclaimed BBC Radio 1 performance, she faced such severe, concentrated online abuse about her body weight that she had to step away. She publicly condemned the comments, just pleading for the public to focus on the vocal talent rather than treating her body as public property.
And when we look at Ariana's decision through the lens of Embleton's clinical advice, her exit strategy is incredibly calculated.
It really is.
Embleton stresses that artists must learn to identify their early warning signs of physical and emotional overload long before they reach the crisis points of an Ava or an Amir.
Right, you have to catch it early.
Yeah. The key to survival is building a fully integrated, authentic sense of self that exists entirely outside the grandiosity of the stage persona.
And Ariana is practically broadcasting this psychological advice during her live show.
And the fifth act, right?
Yes. During the fifth act of the Eternal Sunshine Tour, her character Peaches is subjected to a memory erasing procedure.
Oh, like in the movie.
Exactly. But when she can't get the clinical computer to cancel the erasure, she physically smashes the machine to pieces on stage.
Wow. It is a brilliant piece of symbolism. She is violently destroying the machine to stop the erasure of her own identity. She is setting a boundary.
Smashing the computer on stage and subsequently announcing a hiatus is the ultimate act of preventative care.
It really is.
She is completing the tour obligations on her own terms, but she is walking away while she still has her health intact. However, the psychological experts cited in the TBS article point out that putting up these boundaries shouldn't fall entirely on the shoulders of the artist.
Right. The public bears a massive responsibility in dismantling the surveillance culture.
Exactly. Johanna Kandel, the CEO of the National Alliance for Eating Disorders, along with psychologist Rachel Goldman and communication lecturer Allison Butler, they all argue that society must fundamentally stop speculating on celebrity health based on physical appearance.
Because Goldman notes a crucial psychological mechanism here.
Yeah, she points out that whether a comment is intended as praise or as criticism, publicly commenting on someone's appearance reinforces a really toxic cognitive distortion. That a person's intrinsic worth is entirely tied to their body size or shape.
Exactly. And people often mask their surveillance as empathy.
Oh, all the time. I'm just worried about her.
Right. She looks too thin. I'm just worried about her. But that public speculation simply feeds the panopticon.
So what's the solution?
Well, the experts offer very specific, actionable advice on how to break this cycle, particularly for the next generation. When you are talking to kids who are growing up scrolling through these viral comments about pop stars, you have to actively shift the framework of the conversation.
You have to pivot from policing bodies to teaching media literacy.
Exactly.
The goal is to teach children to critically analyze why the media is focusing on a woman's rib cage instead of her vocal range.
Yeah.
We have to consistently remind them that an image on a screen is highly curated and that a physical body is only one very small, relatively uninteresting part of who a human being is.
And the really uncomfortable question we have to ask ourselves as consumers is about our own complicity.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
We marvel at the elaborate stage designs. We demand constant visibility on social media. And we engage in the brutal secondary ticketing markets because our desire to consume the art often overrides our empathy for the artist.
We are part of the problem.
By demanding an infinite stream of content and physical perfection, the consumer actively fuels the machinery that inevitably grinds the human being down.
So, bringing all of these threads together, Ariana Grande's upcoming hiatus is not a retreat. It's not a sign of defeat.
Not at all.
It is a vital, calculated act of self-preservation. She is navigating a corporate ecosystem that structurally commodifies an artist's physical and mental well-being,
From algorithms designed to exploit fan loyalty with dynamic pricing,
to the exhausting physiological demands of a five-act arena spectacle.
to the endless microscopic public auditing of her anatomy.
Right. By stepping away now, she is smashing the machine before it can erase her entirely.
And as we conclude this deep dive, the clinical realities of the touring industry leave us with a fascinating, somewhat dystopian question to consider.
What is that?
Well, as fans demand increasingly massive, logistically impossible global tours, and as the severe psychological and physiological toll on these artists becomes undeniable, will we eventually see the death of the megatour entirely?
Oh, wow.
Like, might the future of live music be forced into virtual reality, avatars, or holograms simply because the human body and mind were never biologically meant to sustain the sheer crushing weight of millions of watchful eyes?
Living inside that hyper-stimulated snow globe might just become too dangerous for any human to survive. It makes you wonder.
It really does.
Well, you've been listening to StarScope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncovered the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.